Okay, today is June 14th at 6:30. This is a meeting of the Hanson Recreation Committee. First order of business is approval of the minutes from May 23rd, 2022. Everybody got a chance to take a look at them?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
All those in favor? Awesome.
Oh, you cannot.
Was I? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'll take an extension. Yep.
So 3-0.
Okay, so new business, Hanson Public Library, the Lisbon Board event from October 20th, 2022. So there was an email in here about it. I read it. I'm not sure of the costs of this. I'm just going to call it $700. Is that our portion of it, or is that split?
No, I don't know. The cost of the show is $695. It sounds like that's the cost of the show. Sounds fun.
It does sound fun.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to make sure that I just don't know if that's the total cost. Like, who's collecting that $5 fee?
Yeah.
Like, is it the Hanson Library that's collecting the $5 fee?
Yeah.
Doing something with that. I like it. I just want to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could do, if it was us, we could do an event break. So, I mean, that's fine. We could definitely have people register. But you know what? Eventbrite charges like a fee on top of that, so it'd be like probably like double. Like if they were charging $5, then it'd probably be like $10 is the fee that Eventbrite charges. So yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of it, but yeah, I think you're right. It's not until October, so I think if we go back with them with some questions, like who is collecting that?
Yeah, so we can table it until.
Yeah, and then is that us paying the $695 or is that a split?
I feel like when the library does something, they just accept a check or whatever, like you go out and cash your check. They don't have big pages.
And we could do cash or check here too, but yeah, as long as we have a receipt to go along with it, we just can't take card payments unless it's like through Eventbrite. But you can do cash or they can do cash or check, you can do cash or check.
It seems like they already have a platform, because they say we'll register online, pay $5, so they have the library.
Yeah, maybe we can.
Yeah, you usually like, we'll like, because we've done a lot, they will register online and just bring them money at the time.
Oh, gotcha.
That's what they've used in the past.
Yeah, I have no problem doing it.
Yeah.
Who's paying.
Okay.
Is everybody good to table this?
Sure.
Next order of business, hiring event caretakers. So we got Ellen Dale, Taylor Grossman, and Francesca Long. So I only had a chance to talk with Francesca because I was on vacation a couple of those weeks. Did you get a chance to talk to them?
No, I wasn't asked to. No.
Okay. I think they was probably Tori and Lisa that did that. They're all
High school kids.
They're all high school kids. Like I said, I only talked to Francesca. She was awesome.
Yeah.
She's very, very, willing to go through and do everything. I guess the only question that I have is, do we have any issue with them being in high school underage? I don't know if it's like a concern with like alcohol, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know that they middle alone. Like I don't know that I want to leave a high school kid under 18 at a wedding by themselves. So it's always gonna have to be one of us middling down, and we're always gonna have to be paired with them. I don't know that we can put two of them together by themselves at a wedding, but they also can't clear tables. So they become a burden to the closers because the closers are responsible for clearing off.
Well, they can't clear tables with alcohol, right?
Yeah, they could work around them, I guess, and then leave the alcohol tables.
So I mean, another thing too is we could probably let the bar service know, be like, hey, you guys need to, like, we'll tell them beforehand, like, we have caretakers that are underage, you need to clear the tables of alcohol. Do that, right? I mean, I don't know if that's an option. but-
Steve and the girls usually come out when they have a chance to get the bottles and stuff when they can.
They don't always have a chance.
Yeah, they don't do
Yeah,
that.
if it's busy.
Okay. I mean, okay. I mean, is it better than no help at all?
What?
Is it better than no help at all?
I guess so. I mean, it's to a point where it's not super different because we're still going to be responsible. we're gonna need 3 adults at every wedding regardless, so we will always have to be there. And Madison's the only one back, so she's pretty limited. So it still doesn't really solve our problem if we need to not be here or things like that. Because we're always gonna be paired with them and we can't leave them alone. So they're still pretty restricted to hire 3, so yeah.
I think unfortunately those are the only ones that applied.
I think it's tough too, because it was advertised for kids, so it makes sense.
It was.
Well, it was said like high school job for,
Oh,
yeah, that's okay. I mean, it makes sense that their parents saw it and had them apply. But we got younger kids. Seems like they're hired, so it seems like we're just going with it.
If you hire them, it doesn't mean that they have to work like what if someone else came along? Could you, like, that was an adult? Could you also hire the adult and schedule them? Like, they're not guaranteed if you hire them for every single wedding, right?
right.
Like, if someone else came along, that you were like, yeah, definitely, it was age appropriate.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we don't want to go create like overhire because then we're restricting everything. But 3 people is kind of what we're looking for. We did lose a caretaker who's leaving at the end of June, so that's another event caretaker that we're going. So right now, it's like strictly, it's pretty much Em and I and Madison to restricted hours.
Who's leaving?
Janice.
Janice.
Not for anything. She's just going.
Yeah.
She's moving. So.
Yeah, and you said Madison's come back?
Yeah, but she's restricted to middle and closers on weekends only.
Okay.
So I know I talked to Francesca about working outside as well as one-side caretaking stuff. That problem as well, she was fine with that, just not just the business.
Right.
Caretaking stuff. So I haven't talked to her too on that, they probably okay with it, but, like Karen said, you don't have to run on every
Right.
day, but.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good start now, to give you guys some body so that, you're not, I know it's not gonna really relieve you guys that much because you do have to be here, but.
We'll make the best of it.
Yeah, I mean, we could post again, right? Maybe not have, I know you did your due diligence too by sending it out to all schools to have superintendents and out to teachers and that sort of thing, so.
Yeah, I mean, this is really the only application that I know of. I don't know if maybe you can just use them for setup, just use the high school kids for setup.
Yeah, I mean, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can also use them sometimes helping out cleaning bathrooms and stuff, help them.
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
them a few more hours if we have to.
I mean, I like it. I mean, I don't, like I said, I only met one of them and she was really great, so, okay.
All right. Should I send an email to Dory too and ask her to post for the job again? I don't know how long the post stays out, but maybe just enough and,
Yeah, well, that's what I can see if she has anything. I mean, there's no reason why we couldn't, right? So,
yeah.
okay. Do I have a motion to hire the event caretakers, the Ella Taylor and Francesca?
So,
Okay, do I have a second?
second.
All those in favor? Awesome, great. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is the facility manager rate, $14.50 to $20 an hour, right? So there is a facilities manager rate that's being the sheet, but
Here, right there.
you have that in the
Oh, no,
second
that's-
sheet. Yeah, that was the, yeah.
Oh.
So but it was a salary range. Essentially, the facility caretaker position, we decided to go through and hire for, right? It would be a caretaker with a different title, right? That's all, it wouldn't be a salary position or anything like that. So
Right.
they might make a little bit more than the normal caretaker, but they would be essentially hired at the same hours and the same position as everybody else.
Right.
So, it wouldn't be like the event coordinator position, which is specifically 19 and a half hours for X number of weeks, kind of more of its own position. Yeah, so it would be kind of like a hybrid, kind of like what that is the head caretaker, who's on the facility side. So, I just was looking for, a motion to approve the rate of $14.50 to $20 an hour as the hiring, range. If we decide to post for that.
For the, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay?
Now, does that have to get approved by wage and personnel?
It does not, because it's already approved by the person.
But the salary change, because the facility manager is on this report, just not this page, but it is there as a salary, part-time salary.
What we would have is we would have a that it wouldn't technically be, I don't believe the facilities manager range is there. Again, I'd have to check, let me check with Lisa and
Yeah.
personnel, because it wouldn't, like, for example, like Maddie's a caretaker.
But Maddie's a head caretaker, and there is a head caretaker stipulation in the job description.
Yes, but in the way of wage personnel, she's a caretaker.
Right.
But she has the head caretaker title.
Right.
So essentially, what this facility manager would be a caretaker with a facility manager title.
But then I think we would have to change the job description for the caretaker to incorporate facilities manager in there, just like the head caretaker is incorporated into the job description for caretaker. Right now, the facility manager has its own job description, and it's got its own line on here for salary. So we can't merge it into another job description without it going wage and personnel.
Yeah, so I just want to, I don't want to avoid, but I want to try to not have to go back to town meeting to get it approved. So I'll have to check to see how we do that.
Maybe we just take some of the facility manager job descriptions and should merge it into, and then just have the caretaker job description reapproved. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to table that discussion.
Okay, you and I can work on
Yeah.
that together for the next wage and personnel.
That's okay. Does anybody have any questions about that before we move on? No, good, okay. The next item is caretaker rate increase effective July 1st, 2022 to $15 an hour. So the technical amount that they need to be going up to, I believe, is $14.50. Is what they're scheduled for increase in pay in July to $14.50.
Okay.
In February, in the end of January, minimum wage for the state of Massachusetts is going to be $15. We'll have to increase it in January anyway. Since the majority of the caretakers are going to be working a lot of their hours during the summertime, I would like to give them that 50-cent additional raise during the summertime so they can actually, burn it during that September time.
Right.
I believe our budget's good for it, so we should be fine. We'll only add probably about $1,500 to our overall caretaker budget. So,
Yeah.
any questions or discussion on that?
Yeah, actually, so, I don't know, I just feel like caretakers like Jen and Jack and, the ones that have been here longer should be making a little bit more than like the new kids coming in,
Right.
So, do we know what our budget, like what the maximum our budget will allow for to maybe give them a bigger bump if we're bringing in the caretakers at $14.50?
I think, so this for the caretaker raise, increasing the general one to $15 an hour. If we want to put on the next agenda, increasing the current caretakers rate over that, like we can have a discussion when we know what everybody makes.
Yeah.
And then we can go and say, okay, 50% raise on this one, things like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think everybody makes 15, so I think most of them
Yeah.
are 14, 25.
Right.
But in general, the caretaker should be $15 an hour, and then we can come back to the next meeting and kind of discuss individual caretakers and how we want to address it. Okay, then we can kind of go through how much budget we have to do something like that. If the bottom line is being increased by 50 cents, then I think every caretaker should probably increase by 50 cents. That's just not happening.
Okay.
I mean, some of them are actually 75 cents to get an increase, and some even 14, 25 right now. So, getting 75 cents increase in those.
I can get the ranges now, how they are, and I can work out a proposed budget for.
Yeah, we can just figure out how much is going to cost us an extra year. But so I'll entertain a motion to approve the caretaker rate increase on July 1st, 2022, which is fiscal year 23 to $15 an hour.
So moved.
The second,
Second.
all in favor? Awesome. Okay. I'm going to abstain from this next item, and I'm going to have Audrey take this one over.
Okay. Is this an appointment or is this a hiring?
This is she already works here.
No, I know, but I don't know who interviewed her for this, did anybody
I
interview
think
her?
Dorian Lisa did.
My only concern is her availability, because I think, you know, she's had some, and Maddie, maybe you understand more. This is an appointment of Renee to the event coordinator. I mean, it was our plan to have the event coordinator work the rehearsals and Saturdays. So have you had any issues with Renee, scheduling Renee for evenings and weekends?
She can't work weekday nights, like after, I think, 4 or so, I can check my schedule. Weekends have never been an issue,
Okay.
but weekdays after a certain point, she's
Okay,
unavailable.
because it's in the job description that she works, attend wedding rehearsals. So, and those are scheduled on Thursdays.
Yeah, we have to talk to her specifically, in terms of how I've always scheduled her, she just doesn't work weekdays after a certain hour, just like 3 or 4.
Okay.
I don't know if they talked to her about the fact that she'll have
Yeah.
to do Thursdays, but I wasn't told anything.
Because this is, I mean, I feel like this position is going to involve like recreation, right? It's gonna involve like being here for planned recreation events and things like that. It's not, I don't think this is like a mother's hours type of job, which is what she's kind of been doing in the office. So I would just rather have some clarification around what her hours, her available hours are going to be. Since we didn't interview her, then I don't feel comfortable making this decision right now.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's great for it. I really want her to be in this position, but I just,
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah, you weren't part of the interview process? Okay.
Stay away from that. I mean, like I said, I know in particular, I'm not going to speak for her, so.
Yeah,
I know why she doesn't work.
Right,
Days,
yeah.
so-
But I mean, just appointment here with nothing other than an application, I feel like that's not enough information to hire somebody. Yeah.
Because maybe she's told them that she.
Yeah. So maybe we should just table this to the next meeting? Is that all? All right.
Yeah, I would like to have some.
Tori will have some more clarification on that, yeah.
She, like I said, she heard Lisa interview her.
Yeah. She's been doing an amazing job, like she really is, she's done a lot for Tori in the office and events and all that stuff, but, you know, these are very different hours, so I just want to make sure that she's good for them, that's all. Okay.
Awesome. So,
All right.
next order of business would be the reimbursement of wedding fees for 2022. Okay, so the amount paid was $630.50. This was the wedding that we had unfortunately, we had the mother of the bride have a medical incident on the floor, and then was brought to the hospital and passed away after that. They did not get to use the full facility. Imagine, the pavilion they did not use, the bridal couch they did not get used. I went to the board of selectmen meeting today and had them preemptively approve a refund up to $5,000 for it. I don't think we should do a $5,000 refund. I personally think that $2,500 would probably be sufficient. I mean, that's about half the amount. We still have to pay the caretakers and things like that, and I don't want some harsh, there's nothing we could have done there's something we could have done to prevent it, so I feel bad for them, because they obviously have other fees they need to pay, and other things like that, so.
Are they asking for reimbursement, so this is just a.
This is just.
Yeah, goodwill, yeah.
Was this the total, the 56? Was
56
that's
was
not
the
portion
total.
they had to pay for?
That's the total cost of the whole event that they have. So,
Yeah, I am good with giving them half back. I would say half of this. Yeah. I agree. I think our costs would be covered,
yeah, I mean, our costs would be more than covered.
And they're not asking for anything?
No, they're not.
So that's more than fair, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they've asked for that. Dory said they haven't asked for anything. I just feel like, in a situation like that.
Yeah, that's good faith. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
call it 2,800 to make it easy on everybody. Okay.
So, I'll entertain a motion to refund the June 4th, 2022 wedding in the amount of $2,800.
So,
Okay, second. Awesome, all in favor? Great. And in the next order of business, the fire chief wanted us to, the caretakers, to defibrillator training. Let me just pretense this by saying that we're not expected to do anything and use it if something happens here. So like that's not what the fire chief wants us to do. He's not saying that, we have to go and grab it.
I was gonna say, to be fair, so I did ask Dory if any caregivers wanted to get trained on it, just because I would feel more comfortable knowing how to use it, even though I know you're not requiring us to. But I think, what does it used to be optional if we want to learn how to use it?
The class, from what I understand, Dory sent I got an email on my phone. Dory said it's going to be 9 a.m. in the morning. I don't know if she's going to make a mandatory for everybody. I think anybody who's running events should probably know how to do it if they want to. But like I said, if you're trained on it, it does not mean you have to use it, right? Because that's a whole different, like I wouldn't use it. I'm not doing that. So, but that training is going to happen on June 27th. So, if caretakers want to, I'll talk to Dory. If she wants everybody to take it, they'll have her send out a message to everybody. This week.
Should there be CPR training as well?
That's a good question. I know that the fire department can definitely train people on CPR. I don't know if they can make like CPR certified, but they can give like
they
instruction.
can, yeah, they do it a lot of those sports, like we used to do it as coaches. For softball, they would do like CPR nights at the middle school, and it didn't cost anything for us. It was just we would just do them. Again, we weren't certified when we left, but at least we had, maybe we were certified, I don't remember, a while ago. But, if you want, I can ask Jerry if that's something he can incorporate into this.
And probably the same thing, I mean, if you're not comfortable doing it, but at least you're trained,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like Maddie said, I think I'd be more comfortable knowing how to do it, even if I don't ever have to do it.
right.
Just to know, God forbid.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. So I'll
It's usually an annual thing to get recertified or whatever.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, from my recollection, this is the first time we've had something like this happen again.
Yeah.
So, we don't need the training, but
Right.
I'll talk to Dory, I'll have her talk to the fire chief and see if she can incorporate CPR in. Maybe not at like a 2-hour meeting level, but maybe like an hour or something like that, 35 minutes an hour usually. So, I can talk to Dory and see if it's good to have.
Should be, to me, it's a huge liability to have nobody trained to do anything.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago they had, before they had the citizens, if you did CPR on somebody, like broke a rib or something like that, they could sue you. But now they can't do that, so now I can tell them come. But like, I don't want to put anybody in a situation like,
Yeah.
be like, oh, CPR, you should have done something like that. I don't know. So, I'll have Dory send out an email about that tomorrow, all caretakers. They're ready to go, and I'll have to talk to all the fire chiefs, or fire department, to do CPR, but he's going to go on. Okay? Discussion of vendor agreements. We need to get into the process now of redoing our vendor agreements. We need to go through and figure out what is the best agreement for the different kind of vendors that we have, and discussing it with the vendors that we currently have from kids and things like that on rates for using the facility and things like that. So I don't know if anybody has any ideas, if anybody wants to volunteer, taking a look at the current vendor agreements that we have and going through and making modifications and bringing it here, and next week I'll brainstorm together for it.
I can do that. I can get a copy, and I'd also like to get from Dory, how much money we need from the vendors too, just to get an idea. Like obviously, it's gonna be a lot less than drama kids or whatever, so. And I can organize it so that we can bring it to the next meeting so we can all talk about it.
Okay. I'm not terribly concerned with how much money they bring into the camp.
But if we're gonna change the structure on how they're paid from like an 80-20 to a flat fee, I just wanna make sure that we're not pushing people away. Like and I'm just saying, like if Kath from Paint Night, you know, only paid us $100 over 6 months, and we're gonna charge her $300, then obviously she's not gonna come back. So I just think it's knowledge to have when we discuss,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
how to change our structure.
I just want to make sure that we're not losing money
Yep.
on the recreation, right? So like, that's the only thing I'm concerned about. Like, in
Definitely.
Catherine Payne, I only $100, but we're paying caretakers $200 a be here, right? I
Yeah.
want to make sure that's equitable for everyone.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously like the drama kids and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, in a meeting in July, because I don't think these vendor contracts actually come up until October. I think October is when they renew, if I'm not mistaken. So in a meeting in July or August, I'd like to have all the vendors
Sure.
here.
Okay, yeah.
Have like a form of say, hey,
Mhm.
this is the changes we're thinking about making, what do you guys think? And then kind of go through that process, because I don't want to push anybody away.
Right.
So,
Okay.
awesome.
So is there any more discussion on the vendor agreements? No, very good. Awesome. Check that off. Next one is discussion on the employee policies and procedures. So Dory made some edits in here. Most of them are, so one of them is the gator, saying that you have to possess a driver's license.
In there, but that.
It just says 16, yeah, operate 16 ages of age, 16 years of age, and possesses a valid driver's license. Name of the operator will be on file. And then the schedule of work, no employee shall enter the lodge or any other lodge premises for any reason unless you are scheduled for work. Or if you need access to lodge for any other lodge premises for any reason, this is kind of multiple, other than scheduled house, you must seek permission from the reporting authority, which would be Dory. So,
All right, well, I have a little bit of a problem with that, because Maddie is also a reporting authority, and there are times when people are not necessarily on a schedule, but they jump up here to help, you know, because somebody forgot their key or something like that. So I want to make sure that the reporting authority is not only Dory.
so what we can do is we can write in here, we can have either a section here that says reporting authority, so we can specify who the exact reporting authority is.
Yep.
So if it's Dory and Maddie,
Mhm.
that's fine. If it's, you know, the event coordinator could be a reporting authority, if it's an event caretaker or the facilities manager can also be one.
Yeah, I would say Dory, head caretaker, facility manager, and event coordinator would be reporting authorities.
Okay. Yeah, and we can just be innocent with that, so,
Yeah.
to kind of specify, because that is pretty broad.
Yeah,
Usually
exactly.
authority.
Right. Okay.
And I have a question as far as the gate goes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not registered or licensed?
It is registered.
It is?
It is registered, yeah, so the problem, here's the thing with the gator, right? So, it's not like an ATV, right? It's it's registered, and since we are a municipality, we are fall under OSHA at the state level. So if somebody were to drive the gator, who did not have a license, and crash, hit somebody, whatever it was, right? Not only would that go in insurance, but then we'd also be investigated by OSHA, and OSHA would fine us for those
Oh,
records.
yeah, I didn't realize it
Yeah,
was registered at all.
that's the main problem with it, because
I mean, there's no stickers on it, there's no nothing, I don't,
it's registered with the town, and there's insurance on the gator and things like that, so that's why you need to be licensed for it, because it technically is a licensed, you know, it's a registered vehicle. If it, you know, if this wasn't a municipality, right, it would probably be like a golf cart, right? We can go where we want to be,
Yeah.
considered a golf cart.
and that's kind of the way I looked at it.
Yeah, yeah, for some reason it's not, and it is registered, so that's why we need to have it. So, you know, that's why.
All right.
So, any discussions on that?
No? Did anybody else have any other edits? No?
I didn't. So I'll make a motion to accept these policies and procedures with the amendment of the reporting authority being Dory, or the administrative assistant,
Yeah.
the head caretaker, facilities manager, and the event coordinator.
Yep.
Okay, do I have a second, no motion for that?
So moved.
Okay, so do I have a second? Awesome, all those in favor? Great.
Guys, we are moving right along. I didn't have time to do my nails
We're
tonight.
doing stuff, discussion of requesting $10,000 from the Historical Commission CPC. So, I went to the CPC public forum, and I actually have not had a chance to talk to you apparently about this yet. So, they have a particular amount of money every year, $10,000 they can use for people to do studies and make plans. So, I know plans are great. So you know, there's a company that is currently doing
Hanson strategic plan that was approved at the last town meeting. I was gonna get that information from Laura and the Board of Selectmen and see if that same company can do a plan for Kent Quantum. Maybe over the next, give us a plan for the next 5, 10 years or something like that. When I went to the CPC, they had a lot of discussion about, kind of like the business plan that we made, but they wanted kind of more of a strategic plan, how what we're gonna do in like 10 years. They said it would be a lot better case when we go ask them for money. So they have $10,000 that they don't use, and if they don't use it, they have to give it back to the town and to a different account. So I figured we could try to get some of that money and have somebody do a strategic plan for the camp, and then we'll kind of give us a good direction. Since we already have a budget plan. So, I personally would like Caroline to handle that, so she's been.
It's the same kind of application.
I don't think it's the same kind of application, to be honest with you. So what I would do is I would go to the Board of Selectmen and I would say, I would like to have the contact information for the company that is doing the strategic plan for the town and see if they can add the camp into that strategic plan. Because this is already allocated to the CPC to use for plans, like a master plan and things like that. So I think they can just give you the money for it. And they might give us a good deal because they're already doing a strategic plan for the town. So I would start at the Board of Selectmen, and then I would talk to the CPC.
Are these like engineering plans though, or?
No, it's like how the town has a master plan, and then how the town has a strategic plan that's coming up. So the strategic plan is not like an engineer, it's not like a town planner. It's more like, I haven't read the one from that they were doing about town, but it's like a capital improvement. It's like in 5 to 10 years, what do you think is going to need to be done at the camp in 5 to 10 years? Will the capital need to be done? How much would it, estimate the cost of the cabinets and things like that? Just give you kind of a general overview of what.
I thought what we were looking for though were like engineering plans for the gatehouse.
That's different. So the engineering plans for the gatehouse, this is not engineering plans for the gatehouse. That's the CPC application that we already approved.
Okay.
This is a set amount of money that CPC and the Historical Commission have laid aside for plans.
For strategic plans,
not
yeah.
engineering.
Not engineering plans, just like strategic plans. So they come in, they do an assessment of the entire camp and the entire cove, everything in hand. They'll say, okay, this is how much you guys made last year. This is the investments that you guys should probably look at. This is the trend that it's going to be. A bunch of stuff like that. It's essentially the same thing that we approved for the town at the Maytown meeting, except just for camp.
Okay.
And they have the money, so might as well use it. And apparently we had that, I don't know how many years ago, they said like 20 years ago we had one of those. So, but the money's there, so I would like to start and try to get some of that money.
Because it sounds like that overall plan could support the other applications that we're putting forward in the Board of Chapter. Because if the plan says we need to do the capital, that's why we're putting that in.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of the feedback that I got from the CPC when I went there and said, we want to do the gatehouse, we want to do the cove, I had a couple of things that were not camp going related, but they said it would be a lot easier to request the money and ask for the money if you had a plan about, how you can maintain it, like what you can do with it.
So question on that, should we go ahead and have the application still be put on to the July meeting?
Yes.
For the gatehouse?
Yeah, we definitely should. I mean, that's like a no-brainer thing. Like they know that the gatehouse needs to be fixed, and they know that the code needs to be fixed. So like I don't care if that plan takes 10 years, they still know the code needs to be fixed. Right? So it's more like things like if we need them in 5 years to redo 4 of the cabinets, right? That plan will say this cabinet's in bad shape, this cabinet's in bad shape. We might need to, and there'll be more for like future supporting cabinets that will happen.
And we don't know if we've gotten any landscape quotes for the code working.
I do not know that. I know that Dory reached out to 3 or 4 different companies to try to get landscaping quotes. I know that the company that we use for landscaping up the front, the guy who was here before, wanted to do with us. So, and another gentleman who we used before doesn't want anything to do with us, the tree situation.
So should we wait till the next meeting because we have to approve a quote, right, before putting in the other application?
We'd have to approve. Well, no, we wouldn't necessarily approve it, right? Because what we would do is we would just get the numbers and kind of base the application off the numbers. Because we can, so if a landscaping quote comes out at $20,000, for example, right? We can ask CPC for $30,000. And it can go a little bit over the $20,000, and the rest of the money that we don't use just go right back to the CPC. So we could say, okay, we want $50,000 for the gatehouse, for repairing the gatehouse, it only costs us $40,000, and the rest of the $10,000 is going back to CPC. So that you can overshoot it.
All right.
That was another thing from the public forum that I asked them, I'm like, well, is it, do you have to be specifically, like, very, to the dollar amount?
Yeah.
No, we can do over for that, so, that's good. So yeah. Okay, so, I'd like to get a motion on that discussion request, so we can start the process of requesting that 10K for a strategic plan.
So moved.
Okay, you got a second? All those in favor? Awesome, fantastic. Okay. Summer schedule meetings. So I would like to have,
I am not available either of those days.
okay, we can change the days. I know that Caroline, you're not available to be here on site, for July, August 15th.
Actually, I'm here August 15th. I'm not here that July date. Hold on. August. Yeah, I'll be here. With the 18th, I'm definitely away.
I'm here, I think, I know Dora was going on vacation as well. I'm not sure if it was the first week of July. I have to check with her. I guess the point is, are we okay with having
One meeting.
one meeting in July and August? And then going back to 2 meetings in September?
Making sure you're right.
No, I'm just
I-
Everyone would have been terrorist.
So I have to check with Dory to see if she's on vacation the first 2 weeks. I'm not sure if that's why she specifically wanted that, because she's off the 4th through the 3rd to the 9th and the 10th to the 16th. So if you're not available on the 18th, I'm not available on the 18th either. We might have to do a meeting.
To the 11th?
Am I the only one without life?
just hang out here.
I mean,
Do you want to do the 11th and the 15th? I mean, that's kind of like middle of the month.
yeah.
I can do, any day that week, the 11th, like, if we wanted to do something on a Thursday night to make it closer to the 18th, I could do that. I wouldn't mind doing it on a Friday night, so. But, we probably can't because of weddings.
We're gonna have another meeting on the 27th. of June.
Yeah.
So we can discuss it then, but I guess the whole point was if everybody's okay with that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think honestly, kind of frank, I think that having it once a month is probably not a bad idea year round. I mean, we do a lot of things but during the winter time, I don't think we really need to have it every 2 weeks. I mean, we can call another meeting if we want to. Every 3 weeks. Yeah, every 3 weeks, something like that. I mean, I know that just, everybody gets busy with the holidays and stuff like that. So, we can discuss that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
All right.
so we'll figure out the dates
I
next
mean, if
time.
everybody else can be here on the 18th and it's just me, then that's fine, you guys have a quorum. It's just that,
Right? How do I?
Oh, you didn't answer that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll still have a quorum, but we'll be free.
Oh, right.
And we have to rework after June 30th.
So our next
yeah.
meeting, we'll have to rework.
Yeah.
Yep.
So not the next meeting, the meeting after the next meeting. So the 27th.
Oh, yeah,
is the
the
next meeting.
27th, yeah.
And
Okay.
I don't think you can do like mailing ballots. I'll call it mailing ballots.
Yeah.
Be like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this and
Yeah.
endorsing it. So, yeah. And I know that we can't do Zoom meetings after the 15th of July either. So the governor signed an order saying,
Yeah.
up to the 15th, you can do Zoom meetings of this year, but not.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they're terrible. Yeah, we'll figure that out. And we can't and the other thing is we can't reorg before the July date.
Right.
Because it has to be like a board select.
Right.
To go. So off, have we seen any freaking bees down there?
When Gil was down there today, we saw a couple. It wasn't a lot. I sent you a picture showing you what the tops look like.
Yep.
After every time we reset them. Made a suggestion to Gil today, and he threw it back at you. Take the tops off, and we have a piece of fence with wood on it, and you put weight on it to rake the beach. Jack and I, probably the only two that could do it. We'd like to try that this year rather than keep putting those tops up. All the cement blocks that hold the stuff in place, someone has taken and busted them all up, so now we've got a safety issue with all the blocks being broken down there.
Okay.
We'll be opening next Sunday. I'd like to see them taken off, and let's hope for the best.
Okay.
So when you say you saw a couple bees today, were they just like bees or were they like in the sand?
I personally didn't see it, but Bill said that they were there at the sand.
I didn't see him either.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either.
No.
I was down there working on the culvert down there, that's just a discussion. Nothing ever bothered me while I was there.
Yeah. When are these things supposed to hatch? Do we know? Like if these eggs were laid last year, are they supposed to hatch in the spring or is it like a midsummer thing? So we wouldn't even know
I
until?
know by this time last year, they were already down.
Were they?
I almost specifically remember the last chair calling me and being like, the bees, because I literally just got,
Yeah.
I just got appointed, like,
Right.
we just got appointed like a day or two before, like,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, the Virgo hornets came down and started like raining on it. So, it was around this time that it happened. I'm not sure if it was like now or like, 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it was around this time.
And I asked Gil today, because I talked to a guy who does the floors, but he used to work here with Jack King, and they used to smoke to keep them out of there.
Oh.
They used to smoke the beach.
Yes,
Really?
to keep the bees out of there. And I asked Gil to look into it to see if it was still environmentally okay to do this. So I don't know what came from that.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard it's like smoking honeybees and other.
It makes them calm, but it doesn't do anything to them.
I mean, if you want to rake it, I mean, if you want to do the raking too. So this is my opinion, take the tarps off. I think they've been on there long enough. Everybody's down there anyway.
We've had a lot of people down there these days,
And
yes.
then we can just rake and make sure that, anything's down there. Just,
Okay.
Yeah, I think most of us will be happy to see the tops gone.
Yeah, they're a
It-
pain.
it looks like
Yeah,
ass.
yeah, they're a pain, and they look terrible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I have no issue with taking the tarps off and then raking.
Yeah, we can do that. We can try it.
I wonder if there's like
Well-
a tap to the back of the gator that you can go down there. Just,
While we're talking about the beach, Frank, I sent him some pictures early this morning showing a concern, and that's the culvert that's in a 3 or 4 foot deep hole where the grate had been disappeared sometime, last year, 2 years ago, who knows. Gil said he would not allow the beach to be open unless it was closed up. I closed it up today with a screen.
just the culvert down there.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it just needs that.
The concern was the child could go and hide in there or anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been taken care of. So the only other concern Gil has, and there's no answer to it that I know of, is every day we go down there, he gets down there before us, and he finds towels, underwear, bathing suits, sneakers, you name it, we're finding them on a daily basis down there. He says, we got to curb it. Well, there's no way we can curb it.
I don't understand where it's-
Impossible.
I don't understand like. what
Right.
sense it's saying.
Even when there are lifeguards and they're
That's right.
open
That's
and
right.
people are paying, the lifeguards are coming to that kind of stuff. So there is no way to,
Yeah, during the night, shit goes off.
There's nothing
Yeah.
else we can do.
yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, but there were always towels and always
Always.
like clothing left behind.
What if
every
you just
day.
kind of made that like a one little suite for who's ever walking the gate that night?
I'm not touching on
But it,
that.
no, but it doesn't matter.
Hey, Carolyn,
One of the alligator mouth things, that hard.
We're pretty much doing it every morning, first
Yeah,
thing in the
mornings.
morning, whenever.
You guys have like
Clean it
a,
out, clean it up, and,
you guys have like a, I don't want you guys going down and picking up people.
no, we got rubber gloves and stuff.
You guys have like one of those like
Ground
trench
Well, we used to have, we need to get another one.
You need another one?
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple of sticks with spikes on it, but.
Honestly,
I
I have one in one of my offices, I'll grab it and bring it. We don't,
We can
say
set it up.
we don't.
Because they're the best thing, they work for that.
Yeah.
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 And while we're still talking about the beach, I gave you all a set of keys. One of the keys works to the padlock, and the other one works the first bathroom we come to.
Okay.
Is there anything to see Melissa over the near future?
Who?
No,
Melissa?
Melissa, no.
No, I didn't see her.
Okay, I have a set of keys for her as well.
Okay, okay.
Do you know which one is which?
Sure.
The sticker, Gil is the health agent. Yeah.
One looks like a house key is.
So when you mentioned it, I
Yeah.
The other one is the lock.
So this one is, the one that looks like the front, your
Yeah.
key, is the bathroom, and then this one is the.
And if you go down and take the lock off, please lock back up on the chain or lock the chain up on one of the gates or something. People will steal the lock.
Savages.
You'd be surprised if it's still around here. All right, that's all I got on the code.
Okay, so next, so yeah, take the tarps off and then we can rake it. Just,
Yeah.
I don't think you guys need a motion, but I just go ahead, do that. And then we'll be ready for the 19th, the go opens, so be ready for that. Discussion of swim lessons at the club. Okay, so I've talked to Margaret over the past couple days, Margaret Cameron Hickey. She had her swim program. She does not have enough people to do the actual swim camp that she wanted to do. I asked her to pivot and do swim lessons and see if she can do that instead. The camp, for whatever reason, only got about 20 people signed up for it, so there's not enough for her to do it. She has the staff right now to do swim lessons. This is an email that she sent me and Audrey today. The program will be first come, first serve. Limit would be 25 people. No pre-registering for the drop-ins. There need to be a disclaimer for the program saying it's not a certified day camp. And all the kids would need to be have an assessment, things like that. So she is looking, and then part two, she says, can I also do limited swim lessons Monday through Friday, 2 weeks for half-hour lessons. So the camp is not going forward as it was presented to us before. This is more just, like I said, swim lessons and kind of a drop-in program where people can show up for a certain amount of money a day or something like that.
I'm good with whatever, summer activities can be brought in here. So
Yeah.
whatever Margaret can do is fantastic. I know she's been working on this camp for like 2 years. It's like, but, I said to her that hopefully this is just like a slow start and, it'll just build, hopefully. But, whatever Margaret can do and is willing to do, I'm all for.
Yeah, and I told her the same thing. I said, we can't, as the recreation committee, we cannot make business decisions for her how to do that.
Right.
It's not our place. And
Right.
Yeah. Do it. So I
Right.
said, if you feel comfortable pivoting, I know there's been a lot of people who want swim lessons.
Yeah.
And people need to learn how to swim. So
Yeah.
I had a discussion with her on Sunday.
Yeah.
We came back. So
Yeah.
I would just like a motion for us to approve what she outlines here as the first come, first served drop-ins
Yeah.
for the camp style thing, and then limited swim lessons Monday through Friday, 2 weeks for half-hour lessons. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Fantastic. Is there anything for team reports?
Well, the other thing I have is actually just a question for Dory. We never heard if the bar contractors, remember they were going out for bid on that I know that, we haven't stopped service with the bar service, but I'm just curious where that all is. Do we have a current bar contract?
I'm not sure. I'll have to touch base on that.
Yeah.
To see what that process is. I know that we wouldn't really do anything right now anyway.
Right.
We'll have to, after the wedding season, but yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We can touch base with her on the bar service. So, okay. The only other thing that I have, does anybody have anything else for team reports? No, good.
So, you know, we're looking pretty good for the rest of the year. We've only got 15 days, I don't think we can spend a lot of money in 15 days. So,
Well, yeah, we
we
can.
can- well,
What do we
we-
need?
Give me the card.
Seriously, I mean,
we can. It's just-
what is it, just $1,500?
No,
No.
so we have,
Pay me
so
back.
right now in total salaries and wages, we have an excess of just under 17,000. So we're using 85% of our salaries and wages budget line item. And then overall, for the whole enterprise fund, we have $85,389, and that's just over 72% of our budget being used so far this fiscal year. So depending on how much we carry over, I don't want to make any crazy assumptions, but depending on how much we carry over, we may not need to go to October town meeting to ask for the additional 60,000 in free cash. But I'm just going to say it may not need to.
Yeah.
This is obviously, all bills have to be paid out and things like that. So we'll have a better idea at our July or August meeting. But, so yeah, budget's doing pretty good. So that's great. Okay, any questions on the budget? No? Okay, cool. So, departmental update, I think Lori just wanted the budget for the departmental update as well. We'll go to caretaker reports, and I'll start with Maddie.
Now that weddings have started, I have a list, but I'm gonna be nitpicky, because I feel like it's too long. Couple questions, so in terms of, because we were just talking, do I need to run, I have a feeling, I don't think Restaurant Depot is gonna pan out, at least right now, and I feel like we're getting into wedding season and we need to order those sweethearts that we've needed for a while, so do I need to run those by you, or like, what's the limit that I can show Dory? They're only gonna be a couple $100.
I think they already approved.
Yeah, we already approved you.
Oh, okay, all right, so I'll just send her a link to them so you can get them
Yeah.
ordered. And then, do we know when, like officially, those new caretakers are gonna be hired? 'Cause I wanted to try to schedule a meeting, like a caretakers meeting with Dory before July, so we can all get on the same page for weddings.
So I would say July 1st is when they'll be effectively hired, because they
Okay.
have to be appointed by the board of selectmen.
Okay,
So what will happen is that it will be, we approve them and then the board of selectmen, so I would say effective probably July 1st, but depending on when the board of selectmen meeting is, could be a little bit earlier than that.
okay,
I'll have to get the work.
I know definitely not before
Yeah.
school, definitely not before school's ending.
yeah, that's fine. I wanted to have like one big one with all of us and Dory, just so we can all get on the same page and with the new caretakers, because we haven't had a real training thing since, honestly, 3 years.
Do you have a day that you want to do that, Maddie?
No, I just didn't know that date, so now I think that it's going to be probably easier to do it during a weekday, because last time I tried to do it on a Saturday and a wedding was here and it was just kind of a mess. So I just wanted to know if they're July 1st, I'll probably do it sometime during the week of that July. But I'm just going to run it by everyone and see like what works for. We'll be out of school, so we'll be more available during the week. But just time that we don't have to worry about an event going on at the same time for us.
Cool.
I know we talked a lot about bees. Are we gonna spray, I can't remember when, it's been so long. We usually spray the lodge at some point because they'll come back to the lodge. Generally, we have like a 1 year spraying.
For bees?
For bees here.
I would, just, maybe if that's something Dory's done in the past, you should just
Okay,
do that again, yeah.
I just couldn't remember, and I know usually it's like late July they start to come out. And usually if we nip it in the bud earlier, we
I
don't
mean,
get
have
hit
we
with them.
seen any bees going around anywhere up here? I mean,
I haven't seen
are we talking about
any.
bees, or are we talking about like the wasps that are down there, or is it like yellow jackets?
Up here.
Here, the
Yeah,
lodge.
okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so what, somebody goes around, it's usually,
Just sprays around the building, because we've had issues at weddings with bees. They just come in random areas and show up.
They built nests
Yeah.
around the,
I just never heard of somebody spraying for bees, though, that's the only thing, so I don't know.
Or maybe it's the wrong term, like, whatever. Whatever it is, normally if someone's
We do
dealing
have a
with
pest
it.
control company that's in
Yeah.
our budget that we pay, so it's probably that pest control company that comes out and, sets traps or something
Yeah.
for bees. Yeah. Sounds good to me.
I know the traps are nice, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
if they handle bees or not.
Yeah.
Do we have a gate, like, do we know when the stove's gonna get done? Because we had caterers asking.
Somebody's doing donuts on the pot.
Okay, dirt bikes are much more exciting. Do we have a time frame for the stoves? Because the weddings have started now. We only have the one stove running.
Negotiate on that?
I think Dory had, I'm sorry, what?
You want me to speak on that, Chairman?
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah,
All right.
you go.
The fire extinguisher system is complete.
Okay.
We have contacted Paul the plumber for hitching up the 2 stoves. As of yet, he has not got back to me or Dory. I tried reaching out again today to him, and I haven't heard back from him. I'm sure he's busy. We're hoping to get that done soon. 3/4 of the electricity is taken care of in there. They've got to come in after the plumber does. And then after they do their parts, the fire chief has to come up here and do an inspection on the extinguisher system. They have to do a dry run to show that it works. The exact time frame all depends on when Paul gets back to us and is able to do it.
Okay.
I'm going to stay on and try and keep that moving as much as I can to get this done.
Okay.
It hasn't been, in my ways that I've dealt with, a problem out there because they cook everything ahead of time and we're just using one or a double oven. Right.
They ask if every other.
Yeah.
They,
Oh,
they
yeah.
want to use them, they're there.
Oh, absolutely.
We had a caterer go back to their shop to cook their food because they
Yeah.
were hoping they could use our stoves. Sometimes even if they do know, but sometimes they just don't remember or whatever, but to be able to utilize those would be ideal because a lot of people would like to cook here if they can. And some of them just know they've never been able to, so they won't bring anything. But new caterers tend to not have any idea what's in there. But just curious, I just was wondering if there was a time frame. And then the last thing, so are you guys gonna have another conversation in regards to the field weddings? Because we had a field wedding last weekend.
Renee told me that you guys didn't feel like it went okay, but it was like you guys had put a lot of work into it, obviously. So, thank you for that. I mean, I think the last meeting we had, when we discussed the field weddings, it was mostly like, if you want to do a field wedding, you bring in your own chairs, have them put down there, like you do that, like, we're not gonna be involved.
We're not gonna offer it
Yeah.
as a,
Right.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that was the last
Yeah.
one that we
Okay.
like, they can use down there to do a wedding if they want to, right? But they're gonna have to have their own vendor come in here, bring down their own chairs, do the whole, like, bring them up, like, we're not gonna be doing anything.
Yeah, because that was the issue with the chairs. I don't know if they were told that we were supposed to get back to the building, but we couldn't get back to the building because they blocked up that whole area with like food and bars and stuff, so we had to leave them on a trailer wrapped. And it was hard, like we had to wait around until the wedding was over and it ran late, so it was just a lot of like things that go into it that we had to kind of sit here for, and obviously there was a ton of us here because we were waiting to disassemble the whole thing down there. But I just didn't know like where it ended up, but I was gonna say that renting their own chairs would be the most ideal solution, because
Yeah.
using our own was just a really big.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna advertise that we do
Yeah.
weddings on the field, like I said, if they wanna do it, they can bring their own company down here, do their own chairs and pick them up, like, that's their responsibility. I mean, it's a public field, like, they can,
Right.
they can use it if they want to, do whatever they want, we're just not gonna participate in their fund.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and I think that was the
Yeah.
policy that we said last time we voted on too, so, thank you for doing that, by the way, thank you for doing that field wedding. I'm not sure if everybody was here doing it, I would imagine so, but, yeah, so thank you very much. I know it was probably a pain, and it definitely wasn't needed on that day, but I appreciate you guys doing that, and just getting one listen out too. Okay,
That's it for me.
That's it?
I'll save it.
you guys have anything?
Yeah, Jeff and I were kind of confused on the edit that Dory did on the access to the building, only certain people being allowed here in the building. Does that mean like only her and, say, Maddie and Renee are going to be allowed in the lodge? So
No,
say
no,
if
no.
we're working outside, does
It's
that
only
mean
when
we're
you're
not
not
allowed
scheduled.
in?
No, when you're not scheduled.
So when
Like
it's
if
scheduled-
it's a Saturday and you're up here for a walk and you have to go to the bathroom, like just because you have a key, you shouldn't come in and use the
Oh, okay, I
bathroom.
thought you meant like, oh, say if him and I were working outside. with
Oh, no,
the
no, no,
kids and
no,
using
no,
the bathroom.
that's totally different. If you're scheduled, first shift, regardless of where on the property you're working, that's a totally different story. Yeah, yeah. It's literally just like, you're up here for a walk and you decide, you're gonna show your family the whatever, just, no unauthorized
Yeah.
access, basically.
It's like if I just came in here one day and just like came in the office and just
Yeah.
sit down, like, it wouldn't make sense.
Right.
So yeah, it's only during, if you're scheduled to work, then you can be at the lunch.
Yeah.
As soon as you said him and I looked at someone, what?
Yeah, no access to lodge in any circumstances for anybody. Go ahead, Maddie.
That falls under the same spectrum of only coming to your scheduled hours, right? Like the same idea of if you're not scheduled.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me just.
Well, All right, so there have been a couple of instances in the past, right, where somebody's unable to lock the door and Jen's run up to help, like that's authorized, like Jen coming up to help,
It's a
or
different
Jack coming
circumstance.
up, or Roger coming up to help somebody who's, you know, stuck, they can't get the doors down,
Right.
and they call somebody, like even if it's M who's stuck down there and she has to call another caretaker, like that's not unauthorized, you know what I mean?
No, I mean,
Within reason.
like if you're scheduled for a certain hours, not coming in early and putting in for those hours kind of situation.
Yeah,
That-
you should not do that.
Okay.
If you're scheduled from 12 to 3, that's an example, right? Do not come in from 10 to 1, right?
Mhm.
Just, unless you talk to somebody who schedules your hours, just don't change the hours, right?
Right.
And I understand that people have like fluctuating schedules and that, like, that's completely fine, right? You can change your hours if it's acceptable, but just make sure that the people who book those hours for you know that they're being booked those hours. Does that make sense? I mean, that's as simple as it is. I know that, you know, a lot of you guys do like volunteer work up here, where you're not getting paid for hours and things like that. I get that, but when we're being scheduled and paid for hours, just make sure that's the hours that you're being assigned. Don't, because it just causes confusion and chaos, and everybody gets mad at each other when, you know, they're like, oh, why isn't so-and-so here at this time when they came 3 hours earlier than that, right? We just don't want to get away from that situation, so.
And working more unauthorized hours screws up the budget too. I mean, we're like budgeted almost like to the penny for everybody's hours, so.
And making sure that everyone's evened out too.
Exactly.
Exactly, so that's the biggest thing that I was trying to do last year with the budget that we had, and I want everybody to have the same amount of hours, right? Because I don't want one person to have 3 hours a week and then somebody else has 15, right? I want everybody to have the same consistent amount of hours. And in order to do that, we just need to be strict on how much we're spending during the summertime, because the summertime's our busy time, right? So everybody can work 19 and a half hours a week during the summer, but during the winter time, it will drop down to 6 hours a week or 7 hours a week or something. Just stay tight with that, because it's going to be a lot more interesting next year during the budget season. If we don't do good this budget season, it's going to be a lot different of a discussion about what kind of hours people get. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if the committee even gets hours at
Yeah.
that point, you might have a brand new committee up here. So, go ahead, Roger.
I don't want to say it's an exception to the rule, but I would coming up here, not on the per se schedule for vendors for the kitchen and stuff like that. I'm sure that's authorized.
If it's a issue with an event, right, and like you're available to do it, then yes. But if it's like or if you're meeting a vendor up here, so like if you know the roofer's coming here at 10 o'clock or something like that, you need to come up here, right? But you should still be checking with Dory and say, hey, vendor's going to be here at 10 o'clock. I need to do that. Or I'm sorry, not Dory, Maddie. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's my only thing, because I spend a lot of time every week when I'm making the schedules to make sure everyone's evened out. So if people are coming in for shifts that I don't know anything about, you're getting extra hours that other people aren't getting, because I don't know those shifts are available for other people.
Right.
So when people are coming in for shifts of events or things like that I'm not being told about, that aren't on the schedule in advance, you're now getting, or whoever is getting more hours than other caretakers who could have had an opportunity to take those shifts as well. And I spend a lot of time making sure everyone's evened out for their hours.
But on, you know, on that note though, but you guys are a particular case, right? Because you guys will meet with vendors, and you guys will, you know, meet with contractors around the camp and do stuff like that, so that things will happen, right? But what I'm saying is, if you know that that's happening, just let somebody know so they can, you know, they can change it.
Dory knows what I'm meeting, all of them, there's a tree company.
Yeah,
But Maddie doesn't, and Maddie
Yeah,
doesn't schedule.
yeah, Maddie
So
needs to
is there like an average number of hours that you're doing that every week that Maddie can maybe back out of what she's scheduling you for?
There's not an average. When the kitchen's done, we're going to slow down as far as any extra things like that. I would agree with you and say, hey, take me off the schedule for some stuff, but unfortunately, due to staffing, and I think you'll agree, they need me as a body for the events.
Okay, so all the scheduling goes through Maddie, right?
Yeah.
So whatever the need is for the first scheduling, just bring it to Maddie, Maddie will work on the schedule. We're not gonna micromanage the schedule, so just make sure you work with Maddie. You can let Dory know what you're doing, but
All the
Maddie's the scheduler, right? So Maddie schedules everything. Until we make a policy that says anything different, Maddie's the scheduler. Right? So, you know, just make sure, and like Maddie knows that there's people who come here during the week for stuff that might not be scheduled before, so just work with Maddie. Yep.
On that note, Maddie, actually it went through Maddie the other day. She gave Jack and I a couple of extra hours that we weren't scheduled for. Tomorrow, example, we have a project to get rid of, put those brown metal chairs that are now in the trailer that we used for the field. We're gonna put those in a different, we're gonna put them in the corner of Fezzi's instead of putting them back up in the attic. That's where both Dory and Roger agreed that they should go, is over in Fezzi's. So, I'm gonna come in and you offered.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So like, if I was told by you guys to keep to strict, like what we need, so which is clean south end and lodge, because we don't need to clean the north end every week if no one's here, because we're trying to be as conscious with our hours as possible. So if I know that there's something extreme, like a big project that needs to get done and things like that, I can budget that in and maybe not give you as many event hours during the week, so that I can make sure that other caretakers even themselves out who can't or aren't going to do the projects during the week, things like that. So like, I don't mind putting in I'm not going to put projects every week if no one's going to be coming to do them, if they're just wasted hours.
Those chairs can't sit there.
That needs to get done. I don't want it to waste your cleaning time doing something like that. Yeah.
So let me just say this as well, right? If one person works 20 hours, not 20, one person works 15 hours a week and somebody else only works 5 hours a week, at the end of the year, it's all going to even out, right? So like people are going to be working like, unless it's like a completely different job function, like people should be essentially at the same point at the end of the year when you're not a seasonal caretaker. So if you're not going to be here just for the summertime, at the end of the year, everybody should have pretty much the same hours that they're working with, right? So if Jen works 5 hours this week, but Jack works 12 hours this week, right? Like don't take it as he's getting more hours than you because of some reason. It's just that, he might have a project that he's doing 12 hours this week and everybody else, getting 5 hours this week. So, I just want to make sure that, like, Maddie's very capable of scheduling everybody for the appropriate amount of hours. Maddie's not trying to, that's the face that she's basically, but, I'm trying to say, she's not trying to chip anybody out of hours, right? It'll all even out at the end, right? We'll make it, we'll survive.
It does take a long time too to figure this out for Maddie. It is taking her a lot of time because she is trying to be as fair as possible. It's why Dory isn't doing it anymore. It was taking up too much of Dory's time. So
I said, why should you do it on the computer in the office?
Exactly. It's very time consuming for her. And I think everybody should be at 19 and a half hours, right? That's what Dory had said at the last meeting.
Not consistently for the whole year. In 19
Right now.
for the
No,
summertime,
right now.
yes.
Yeah, everybody can be at 19 and a half hours right now.
Okay.
That's what Dory said at the last meeting.
So,
And that would be the max.
That's the max, that's the max anyway.
Yeah.
It's a 19 and a half.
Before you get into
hours.
insurance. and everything.
Exactly.
so, yes, 19 and a half hours right now, but it's not really, so if you work 20 hours this week, for example, right, we don't have to give you insurance.
Right.
It's at the end of the year, the total number of hours that you have under your
Right.
belt. If it averages to 19 and a half hours or above that, then we have to, it has to come in like full-time benefits, whatever it is, things like that. So, you might be working 19 and a half hours here, 20 hours, but we still, it'll all even itself up.
That'll be a wash.
Yeah, exactly. So, during the winter time, might be a week we only work 3 hours, right? But you work, 25 hours next week or something like that. So, all itself. So, Roger, do you have anything further?
Only a couple of things. We talked about the kitchen, you all have the keys. I did have the fire department have me when I changed the lock at the beach. They're up to date with the keys in both Knox boxes,
Okay.
so they can get in if they have to. And that's pretty much all I have right now.
Okay.
At the end of the month, I'm going to be away for about a week and a half. Available by phone, but I'll be out north on our way.
Have fun.
Do you want to get married here?
Unfortunately, get married in Portland, Oregon.
I just have one thing for these guys. How are you guys with shirts? Like do we have shirts left over from staff shirts? We don't have anything left over from the last order?
Not unless they're like 4X.
Okay.
We only have like the really big ones left.
Can you put together a list for me for what everybody needs? If you can send out like a group text to find out what everybody needs for shirts. I know everybody got new stuff last year, but we'll definitely need stuff for the new.
I was just saying for the new people too.
Yeah.
Do we want to do just blues or do you want to do a green for them?
I think we can just do blues.
Okay.
Yeah. Well.
Greens are like outdoor weekly stuff. Blues are during the weddings. So
Oh,
they have like a collar and a
I was
button.
thinking just the t-shirt. I would say just the t-shirts.
Well, if the new people are working events, they need blues,
So.
because they need a collar.
And also, so on that note, we should probably get all of our sizes too, in case we need to run that.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. Last year, we talked about maybe getting staff shirts or something like that for us as well. And the order was already in back before, so we'll do that too.
I think it's 3X. So I'll take that off.
They weren't, it was the other, yeah, it was the one and that one. But the order was already back, but it would cost them that's the only order, so we'll just lump ourselves in.
If you want next meeting, well, we don't know, I mean, we can just make a motion for that right now.
Well, Maddie can just give me the sizes out of, well, yeah, because we should probably order them. Yeah, okay.
I can text our group and ask. The only
Yeah.
ones I won't know are the new people. I won't know like what size they would end up being.
Well, Dory interviewed him, she'll know
Yeah.
which size, I'll get that from her.
Just so you guys know,
Everybody
just so you guys know, the greens are like a normal, I think like a men's size. The blues for the women's ones run small. So
Right.
like I was gonna have, the large, and I had to go up to an XL because it was too tight. I think everyone shifted up one size.
Yeah.
So if you do end up getting
Like
blues,
shift it up.
yeah, and if the women's cut, just get one size up because they run small.
All right.
I don't know about the men's.
I don't remember how much they were last year, I think they were around 5 or 6.
They might still be on a sheet.
I think they're still on that. Well, we ordered for everybody last year, yeah, right.
Did we, that'll be a question, did we get shirts back from people who aren't here anymore?
I don't think so.
I don't know if it's really. Yeah, I think the shirt that somebody else has had would probably be. No, I don't think. So,
The underwear, I'm not wearing.
what we can do, Maddie, this is what we can do. So I will entertain a motion to purchase new T-shirts up to the amount of $500. For the caretakers and things like that. Maddie, if you let me know how much the shirts cost, I'll pay for my shirt, and I'll just pay for mine, so I'm using on the budget.
I'll tell you now.
Okay, what is it?
Well, that was last year.
You think they changed?
Oh, they'll change based on quantity.
Okay.
Yeah, they go up
All right,
and down based
then
on
never mind.
quantity. Yeah.
How much was it last year?
Well, how much did we spend last year?
The polos were 32 and the t-shirts were 20. So in total with everything, because we also had to get the plate, which was remember we got the plate thing? We
Oh,
spent
yeah,
on
yeah, we
that.
had to pay.
And like the art fee, so.
So they should already have that plate.
They'll have the plate.
Yeah, so we saved that now, so we don't have to pay for
Yeah,
that.
we'll pay for
But they averaged out 32 for the polos, which was the collar for the events, and then t-shirts were 20. So I think
So what was the total though?
The total was 1,300. But it was 75 just for the plate.
I know, yeah, the plate charges were expensive. And they're, yeah, because that logo's got like 15 plates on it.
Will we still get the art fee, or is that?
No, that we shouldn't pay any art fees or any of that.
Yes.
stuff.
So we'll save,
Because they have the plates from last.
yeah, we'll save 125 on the plate and art, so.
Yeah.
How many shirts was that we ordered last year?
All of us, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I mean, all of us plus I think 6
I think
caretakers.
that's the total quantity in that spreadsheet still too.
Okay.
It's quite nice.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to spend up to $500 in T-shirts.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, I'll rock on that letters. So I'll email them tomorrow. Well, I'll wait for the sizes and then I'll get a quote from them and.
do I have a second for that? Do we have to somebody at the table?
I did.
Okay, so we have a second. All those in favor? Fantastic. If you guys want shirts, we can pay for our budget too if you want to. Here, I don't want to hear about it on Facebook, so.
Yeah.
Everybody,
I just want to show you, speaking of shirts real quick, this is the 6th-year anniversary weekend of our family camping weekend. I wore this, right? Definitely want to do this next year.
Yeah, we should probably.
Some capacity, yeah. We should figure out a weekend for 2023 to do that, because that was an awesome weekend.
Try to.
What's that?
Can sorry, I just got excited because we were talking about next year.
Oh.
Easy.
We need to book off, can we book off the spectacular event?
So that's what I was just gonna say, so your spectacular for not this year, but next year is booked off, but, I don't know if things will change, but we do have, something in here that I was looking at the other weekend. Oh, I have to, hold on. Sorry, I just got so excited about September.
We didn't look at takeoff.
Oh, so we have October 23rd is a Sunday and it's not a deposit yet. So I don't know if, could there ever be a situation where the date opens up? Can we still do spectacular this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
If
I'm just gonna
that's
keep an eye on it.
October 23rd, yeah, keep your eye on it.
If there's an option for that.
Maybe even, oh, you can't add it to it, right? You can't add.
I can add to like ours and she'll see it. But
Yeah.
I can always just talk to her and see if that's something maybe we can find out if
What
that's.
I would do is I would add it to the calendar.
Okay.
As a potential spectacular.
And if that deposit doesn't come through, then we'll just take that date. If it doesn't come through, then the next like month or something, we'll take the date for the spectacular. I'd rather have it than that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been aggressively checking dates.
I'm very conflicted saying stuff like that, right? Because I need the money for the wedding, but on the other hand, like we're here to do
Well, it's not a wedding.
What's that?
It's not a wedding.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just a party. So.
Yes. Yeah.
Check.
What, is it like a baby shower or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like just a, party.
Oh.
If it happens, it happens. Kudos.
Okay, so the next meeting date will be, Roger, go ahead.
Paul Plummer, his ears must have been burned, and he wants to meet me first thing tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
This
Okay,
is
great.
live, is it?
No, it's
Okay, so let me just check the date real fast. So we have the 27th.
Yes, the 27th.
So here's another thing too. So is everybody available on the 6th of July?
No.
27th. What about the 7th? You off that whole week? You
Yeah.
don't know? Okay. So, okay, so the 27th of June is when we go ahead and do the next meeting.
Did you wanna bump it out like to the 11th?
Yeah, I kind of want to check with Lori to see if she's back up.
Okay, all right.
Because she's going to need an open meeting. So the recreation meeting will happen on the July 11th.
Okay.
This is the next recreation meeting. We'll do it at 6:30 like we usually do it.
And then that can be our July meeting, then we're good.
Yeah, and that, so okay, so we'll do the 11th, and then the next meeting we'll do after that will be the, is everybody, so who's not available on the 15th?
No, I am.
You are?
Yeah,
Of August?
yeah. August
Yeah,
11th.
you're here. Okay, so everybody's here.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this. So the 15th of August is when we'll have the
Okay.
August meeting.
You can take my Friday night. Yeah, they got me down for.
So just be aware of this as well, right? If there is issues that really need to come up to a meeting, right? I will have Lori send us an email, or schedule a meeting at that time, right? I don't expect it happening really often. I mean, we're gonna have the caretakers meeting, when Maddie said, the first week of July. But if, we can call a meeting essentially anytime we want with, 8 hour notice. So if we need to, we'll call. And we'll kind of discuss the future about meetings going forward after that. 'Cause I don't really think we need to have 2 weeks. We'll get, once we have the contracts done, and stuff like that. We'll be great. Unless everybody wants to have it in 2 weeks.
I'll send out,
I know Sheila loves it every 2 weeks. She wants it every week. Something you want on Monday.
If I can get the wine up here.
Nobody said you can't. Nobody said you can't. Yes, so, okay, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
so moved.
So, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.